All right, I'm gonna go ahead and get started with our training today. So our training today is on time management and time blocking and prioritizing your time so you can be successful in your doTERRA business. So we're gonna get right down to business. This is something that I actually work on all the time, every day. So we wanna be able to basically organize our time so that we not only have time for the stuff that we need to do, but so that we have time, like, you know, for Costa Rica, for example, where we can do something really fun that we want to enjoy and have the money and time freedom to be able to do it. So my husband and I currently live in a fifth wheel trailer. We do this intentionally. We totally love what we're doing, and we have been able to organize our time so that we can do this, so that we can have this time freedom to travel around and to do as we will, and homeschool our children. So I'm a doTERRA Diamond, and I homeschool my 3 children. Plus, I'm actively working on building my doTERRA business constantly, and we travel full time. So there's a lot of different pieces that fit into our puzzle as far as what we're doing and how we're doing it. So basically we're going to dig right in here. So it's good to block time to plan monthly, weekly, and daily. So basically we're planning to plan, right? Have a dedicated office space. For me, a lot of time my office space is right here in the cab of my pickup because we live in it 300 square feet. But just so that you have a place where you can sit and it can be quiet and you have your work stuff around you, you've got a calendar on your desk, you know, pretty much anywhere I've learned can be a dedicated workspace if you have the correct tools. So have a morning ritual and nightly review. That's something good to do. And make time for something fun. Create a joy list and do the things on it. Okay, so this is just a fun little tip. Oils for organizing. So these are oils that I would suggest you put in your diffuser right now as you're time blocking and organizing your time. Time is at once most valuable and the most perishable of all of our possessions. Until we can manage time, we can manage nothing else. So that's why we're doing this right here at the beginning of this, just right here at the beginning of our training, of our incentive, is to help you guys really figure this out and master this. Time is an illusion and you are in control. So let's make the most of it. All right, so I'm sure you all heard this story about the mayonnaise jar and 2 cups of coffee. So there's a professor that took some jars and he picked up a box of pebbles and poured them in the jar. He shook the jar lightly. The pebbles rolled into the open areas between the golf balls. Oh, sorry, he put golf balls in first. All sorts of all over on this thing. So he picked up a large empty mayonnaise jar and proceeded to fill it with golf balls. He asked the student if they agreed that the jar was full, and they said that it is. So then he went and picked up some pebbles and shook those pebbles into the space between the golf balls. And they, once again, yes, the jar is full. So next he picked up sand and poured it into the jar. And of course the sand filled up everything else. And he asked if the jar was full, and the students, yes. How can you fill anything else in those spaces, right? And then the professor took 2 cups of coffee from under the table and poured all of it into the jar, effectively filling the empty space between the sand, and the students just laughed. So basically this represents our life. The golf balls are the most important things. Our God, our family, our children, our health, our friends, and your favorite passions. So that's everything that you put in first, right? You prioritize those things. The pebbles are the things that matter, like your job, your house, and your car, and the sand is everything else, the small stuff. So if you were to put the sand in the jar first, then there wouldn't be any room for the pebbles or the golf balls. So if you spend your time and energy on the small stuff, you'll never have room for the things that are important to you. So pay attention to the things that are critical to your happiness. Play with your children, take time to use your oils, get your medical checkups, go on dates, do the things that are going to bring you happiness. There will always be time to clean the house and fix disposable. And then take care of those golf balls first. Set your priorities. The sand is just the rest. All right, so one of the students raised her hand and inquired what the coffee represented. The professor smiled. I'm glad you asked. It just goes to show that no matter how full your life may seem, there's always room for a cups of coffee with a friend. Or if you don't drink coffee, then, you know, hot cocoa or ice cream or just spending time. Hot cocoa with peppermint in it. Hot cocoa with peppermint in it. Or just chatting oils with a friend too, right?
Should be for a second.
Sure. Scott just put the baby in my dedicated office space of my truck. So see how this goes. Okay. Time and priority management. So first we're going to identify the core priorities, personal, business. So, and then do mind mapping. Schedule core priorities into time blocks. Daily planning to manage. Okay, so go to the event page right now, and on that page I have added 2 different documents. One is a mind mapping document, and then the other one is a time blocking document. You can save both of those if you want. You can print off the mind mapping one, and you can grab that time blocking one, and you can, right now I filled it out with my information, and it's my ideal week. It's what my ideal week looks like. So it's not perfect by any means, and as you can see, there's a nap in there, and I never get a nap, you guys. Like, but I put it in there because, you know what, that's my ideal week. My ideal week, I would have a nap every single day. So I put it in there. And as you can see, I have daily planning in there. So I plan every night for the next day, and the beginning of every week for the rest of the week. I like Sunday to be kind of my review day, and I like to plan for my week that day. So the mind mapping is a great way if you have like a big project and you're not quite sure what to do with it, then you can mind map. So for example, if I were to mind map building a house, I would have building a house in that circle to the far left. And to just build a house, that seems quite enormous, right? But then as you can see, there's the little circles next to it. And so if I'm mind mapping building a house, I would say, oh, well, obviously I need land to build a house on, right? So you put land. And then I would put materials. You need materials to buy a house, and then you also need a blueprint. So I'd put that in the third one. I need people to help me build the house, so that would be the 4th one. And then the 5th one, I'm not sure. It's in my family to fill the house, right? So the first one, you need land. So on the little bullets next to it, I would say go look for land, right? You need to have in mind what you want, and so go look for land. And then, you know, purchasing the land. And so you can see how you can break things up into smaller steps by mind mapping. So for something like Premiere, actually we're gonna do some more mind mapping here in a second. Eliminate distractions to increase productivity. So identify our priorities. Personal, self-time is key. Health and relationships. So these things are high priorities. So make sure to put those in your time blocking. Business, sales and marketing, business development, and fulfillment are the 3 main things of business priorities. So what actions have the highest rate of revenue return? Not a single one of you are going to say putting stickers on top of your oil bottles, because that is not a revenue producing activity. Different revenue producing activities are things like contacting people, putting time into follow-ups and wellness consults. Those types of things are going to create the highest rate of return. So I want you to think about, obviously, anything that will help you sell a kit, or, you know, share a kit with a friend is going to be something that's going to be a revenue reducing or producing activity. So weekly planning, how do you eat an elephant? And this is something, you guys, have you ever heard the term move a mountain? You know, if you have enough faith, you can move a mountain. So for me, I always think of that as looking at a mountain and telling it to move, and having enough faith for that mountain to actually move to another location, right? Like an instantaneous thing is what I always grew up thinking of when I thought of that. So it was just recently I thought, you know what? That is not right. If you have enough faith to move a mountain, you're going to move that mountain block by block, piece by piece, rock by rock. You move a mountain. You don't move it all at once. So how do you move a mountain? How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. You chunk it down. So this is part of the mind mapping that I was talking about. So I have a little, in the event, I have a graphic that's very similar to this, that's, you know, where you can do a Premiere. So we're going to chunk down Premiere, and we're going to show exactly what it takes to be Premiere. If you look at Premiere, it's like, oh, Premiere's hard, right? It's so huge. It's hard to do. But if you chunk it down, you look, okay, you need 2 legs with 2K and then an extra 1K, right? So in order to do the 2K, that would be basically 4 500 PB classes. So if to do those 4 classes yourself might be a little bit tricky, but if you can find somebody who wants to be, you know, do this as a business and help them do 4 classes, then you've got the 500 PB, you know, a lot easier. And then there's schedule, teach, invite. And same thing with this 4 500 PB classes. There's plenty of checklists and different success type calendars that you can find on the doTERRA website is probably the best place, but there's some really great lists and stuff like that that are available to you to help you be successful on your way to elite, and help your people be successful on their way to elite, which 2K is executive, which is basically you're on your way to elite. So, and then your 1K that's, you know, possibly from you yourself and your enrollments. You've got your 2K legs that are going to be, you know, builders. So that's how I would mind map Premiere. Okay, so daily planning. How do you plan? So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to do the hardest thing first. So the hardest thing is, you know, have you ever thought of swallowing a frog? What does that look like? Like, swallowing a frog would be a little bit hard, right? So do the hardest thing first, swallow the frog. So think of what it is that's the hardest for you in your doTERRA business. Is it getting on the phone and talking to people? Is it doing laundry? What is that hardest thing for you? I'm so sorry. We kind of stopped for a break for me to start this out, and my family's joining me in the car, so it might be a little bit crazy here, but we'll push through. All right, so create a weekly schedule. Break down larger tasks into smaller tasks. Prioritize items on your weekly schedule and create a to-do list based on those items. So this is really, daily planning is really, really helpful and really nice, especially because as you do your business, as you are going through the years, we've been doing our doTERRA business for, you know, pretty full time for the last 6 years. And so over the past 6 years, we have figured out what it takes to maintain and what it takes to grow. And the reason for that is because we all have peaks and valleys in our life and in our business, right? So we have times that are hard and times that are busy and times when just life is crazy. And this is part of the beautiful thing about time management, being able to create your own time and to be able to have time freedom, is that you get to choose what you do with your time. So I've had a couple of times when I've had babies and stuff like that where I've barely done what it takes to maintain my business. And so I've figured out, okay, I need to spend, to maintain my business, I need to be spending about, 4 or 5 hours a week on my business. And so that means that while I'm nursing my baby or that type of thing, I can reach out and I can text my leaders, I can send emails, I can do just kind of some maintenance things that will help me maintain my business. But then if I want to grow my business, then obviously I prioritize things differently, and I find some office time, some office hours that I can actually use to grow my business, and I can use that to contact new people and to do that type of stuff. Whereas if I'm maintaining, I'm mostly communicating with my leaders and with my people that are doing classes and reaching out to people. So this daily planning is really, really important, and prioritizing things on a week-to-week basis, depending on what it is that you're doing, and really planning your ideal week out. Of course, there's the time wasters and bad habits, right? So how many of us get sucked into social media? It happens, right? Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, just clickbait, like we all have those things. I know that Jenn Oldham has taken Facebook off her phone completely, and she only uses it on her computer, which is helpful. If you feel like you get sucked into things, that's a really good thing to do. To just time block time in to actually look at those things. So as you can see on my ideal week plan, I have time blocked in where it says something about email or messages and that kind of thing. That's time where it's like, okay, yeah, I have time now. I can just pick up my stuff. And I do a lot of social media for my business. I joke around all the time that I would probably just eliminate social media if I didn't have doTERRA, because that's probably 95% of my time on social media is engaging in my my social media groups and with oil camps and that sort of thing. So as far as games go, I mean, every now and again I'll pick up a game, but it lasts about 5 minutes and then I'm done, just as like a mind break or whatever. So just look at where your time is being spent. All right, I love this quote by Victor Hugo. He who every morning plans the transaction of that day and follows that plan carries a thread that will guide him through the labyrinth of the most busy life. So, for an example, after I've done some mind mapping, I have a to-do list, right? Those bullets are my to-do list. And so, for me, laundry is my frog. So right now we're in a fifth wheel, so this is a little bit different because obviously I can't do laundry every day in a fifth wheel, but this is what I would put laundry in first thing in the morning, and I would hopefully have it done by the end of the day because I just do not like laundry. And then I need to grow my business, right? So plate 8, as you can see on my ideal week plan, I have 2 days in there, I believe Wednesday and Thursday, where we go and we socialize with friends. Like I said, I'm a homeschool mom, and so we'll go and we'll spend hours at a park with friends. We have different groups that we have meetups with on those days at those times. And then on Friday, I have a field trip day, and that's another day where we're able to meet people and make connections. And so, as you can see, at times I double dip, I guess is what you could call it, where I have where my business and personal life mesh together, and I'm able to talk to people about doTERRA and also fulfill some of my homeschool duties. So, and socialize with friends and whatnot. So, and I find that when I spend time with people that don't do doTERRA, perhaps they order, they're my customers. Guess what happens when I spend time with those people? They do doTERRA. So I have quite a few homeschool friends. I have, and many of them are customers. On me from Jamaica. Quite sure who that is, but I'm gonna just hang right up on that one. Jamaica's calling me. Let's go, Scotty. Okay, so follow up with, so then I've got follow up for classes. I like to have specific days where I do classes because it just fits in with my flow of life better. So Wednesdays are good days for me to do classes, and sometimes Thursdays. But anyway, so you kind of get things into a rhythm and into a groove, and then I need to help Tux with homework or help Zay with reading or different things like that are in there. And then I work on my vision board, do different trainings with my team. So this is just a to-do list example of what a to-do list might look like for me on any given day. Okay, and then a great model to follow is the 8-hour model. So we have 24 hours in a day. So if you divide your day into 3 8-hour chunks, you've got 8 hours of sleeping and relaxing, 8 hours of school or study time. This is kind of a model maybe for a college student or for me as a homeschool mom. Like, we're doing school all the time, even though we only maybe sit down for an hour or two. And then 8 hours of personal time, which could also be a part-time job or your doTERRA business, right? And so breaking your day up into this, can really help. So think about applying that to a week of your schedule. Oh, and I just totally went too far. Okay, so this is the business development, sales and marketing, and then the fulfillment. These are the 3 different sections that you need to be spending your time with your business. So if you look at my ideal week, I've got website, planning, prep for training, which I did last night, class prep, inviting and follow-up. So if you can kind of, block your time from these 3 things into each day, then consistency is everything with doTERRA. I can't stress this enough. If you are not consistent, you will not grow. If you stop building your business for a month, then your leaders will stop building their business for a month, and you can see how you can have a domino effect there. And so do something every single day for your business. And as long as you do that, you do something every single day, then I promise you will be successful. Reach out to your leaders, reach out to a new person, just reach out to somebody every day. And as you do that, I promise you will find success. All right, so making your tools work for you. Okay, so make very specific goals. Make 15 contacts this week by Friday instead of make new contacts. You say make new contacts, and it's like, what does that even mean, right? But the more specific you are with a goal of how many and by when, then you're going to be successful with that. Give yourself a deadline and keep your goals in mind. Use your waiting time. So if you're on the phone making a call, you're on hold, if you're at a doctor's office or a lab of some sort and you've got a few minutes to burn, use that time. Some of my most productive time when I have babies is when I'm nursing, right? Because I just sit there and I can't go anywhere for anywhere from 15 minutes to an hour. And so I make use of that time when I'm nursing babies. And that's often some of my most productive time spent. So, let's see. Yes, plan breaks. And reward yourself. Make sure to reward yourself. Have a joy list and do things on that list. And this just tells you your most productive times. And so take a look at that and see, are you spending your most productive time? A lot of times it's kind of funny because the maximum performance times are often the times that I'm doing school with my kids or doing dinner with my kids. It's like I spend my most productive times with my kids, which is good because those are my kids and my family. That's my highest priority for sure. And then, as far as hourly goes, your first 10 minutes are going to be your most productive time, and lowest is going to be Don't usually, time block in about hour segments and make sure you're taking breaks. I love this quote. Honor your time. Make it a point to honor your commitments to yourself as much as you would someone else. If you block off time for your morning routine, creative practice, money management, workouts, or anything else, honor it. Your life, happiness, health, and well-being depend on it. Show yourself some respect. So how often is it that we're early when we're going to appointments, and we're, making sure we're honoring other people's time, but your time for yourself is just as important. So make sure to honor that. The bad news is time flies. The good news is you're the pilot. So, all right. So I want you to pick one or two strategies. You're not going to be able to necessarily implement everything that I've talked about today, but definitely implement one or two things. And, what is it? What is it that you guys are going to implement? I'd love to hear. And why did you pick these strategies? All right. So take a look. Like I said, take a look at the event. My ideal week is in there. You can copy it. That's a Google Drive document, so you can save it, copy it to your, create a copy and add it to your own Google Drive, and then you can utilize that. But if you don't use that, then use something similar. Use a day planner or that type of thing that's going to help you become organized. Some people like it on the computer. Some people like it on paper. I tend to do a combination of both. Is really helpful for me, and it's just helpful to just type stuff up. Like going through that, my ideal week was really helpful for me in seeing where I need to spend time and where I want to spend time, like napping, right? But if you don't write it down, then it's definitely not going to happen. But if you write it down, then at least there's a chance that you'll do it. So make sure to write stuff down and utilize that mind mapping tool as well. So thank you so much for being on. I can't wait to see you guys in Costa Rica.